when my world is shaking and I find it's hard to find, when I am barely breathing and I long for peace of mind, when the tears won't stop rolling, I've nothing left to give. Remind me you're still with me as long as I live. You are here with me, here with me, even when I cannot see, cannot see.
The Good Dirt is brought to you in part by VanessaKersting.com. Catch all my music and my new album From the Bathroom Floor on Spotify and all your favorite streaming platforms. You can also get some awesome swag at VanessaKersting.com.
Well, we have a special treat for you today here on The Good Dirt. I'm Bill Winn, and I'm joined today by singer-songwriter, composer Vanessa Kersting from Adelaide, Australia, who has a visa now and is living, at least most of the time, in the U.S., traveling and performing. So welcome, Vanessa. Glad to have you with us.
Thank you, Bill. Thank you for having me today.
Yeah. So there's a few questions that I wanted to ask you today. Maybe some of the background, some questions, answers to which I don't know. And I was just curious about, and I know that the people that enjoy your music would love to hear maybe the answer to some of these questions too. So let's just jump right in. So when did you first kind of become interested in music?
I think for me, I grew up in the Salvation Army, and so I was just surrounded by music, since I kind of was in diapers. So, music was all around. My grandparents played in the brass band. My parents were involved in different music ministries in the church. So my sister and I apparently used to put on little performances for visitors that came in, and that sort of fun stuff that you do. But yeah, I think I was always interested in music and just loved being a part of whatever was going on, whether it was just a family jam or something happening at the church, those kind of things. Yeah, it was just always something that I was doing.
So what instruments were available to you in your household growing up?
So brass instruments. So we had my grandfather played the euphonium, and my dad plays the flugelhorn. And so I cannot play either very well at all, but it was great fun to just blow in it and make noise. So we did that a lot, and played guitar and piano as
okay.
well.
So for our viewers, the two brass instruments you mentioned.
Did I go Aussie on you?
Yeah. Can you describe those? What are those?
A euphonium's kind of like a tuba, except it doesn't sit around your waist.
Okay.
So it's kind of like you play it like that with the three fingers.
Oh,
it sits on your leg, maybe that big.
So it has three keys and okay.
Yeah. And then the flugelhorn, it's kind of like a cornet.
Okay.
Do you have cornets here?
Yeah,
okay.
we do. We do have cornets here.
Yeah.
Yeah, great. So there was a piano in the house and a guitar, because I tell people a lot of times the first secret to learning to play an instrument is you have to have that instrument to play.
Right.
If you don't have one, you'll never learn. So having access to, and it sounds like you did, sounds like you had access to a lot of different musical instruments. And of course, people that know how to play them, that are musically minded, would be a huge asset. And naturally, I guess it would follow that you would be interested in music. When did you first realize that you wanted to share your music, create your own music and share it?
Probably in my late years of schooling. So more so, 10, 11, 12. Back home, our schooling's kind of different. So we do reception through to year 7 and then year 8 through to 12. So it's slightly different back home because you guys have the middle school, right?
Yeah, well, and it varies from state to state here. It varies, but pretty much everybody graduates from high school at grade 12 here.
Yeah, same. Unless you need to do it again and then year 13. Yeah, so more my later years of schooling.
Is when you knew.
Yeah, like I had a bunch of friends that were into like songwriting. One friend who was just amazing on the piano and that sort of thing, and so we would all jam together and then kind of start writing songs together. So it was kind of in those years that I was like, yeah, this could be fun to do a bit more.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. That
So,
sounds like a great time, getting together with friends and playing music.
right? Good fun.
And I guess a lot of ideas come up. Write them down quick.
Yeah, yeah. You got to catch them while they're there.
Yeah, because that stuff can get away from you.
Right.
Your first album that you released was called
Faith Child.
Faith Child.
Yeah, back in the day.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Released in 2002.
Okay. Fantastic.
Yeah.
So I haven't heard that one, but I'm sure I've heard songs from it.
Maybe. I don't tend to play them as much these
Okay.
days. But
Okay. Well, maybe I haven't.
it was a bit of fun. There are some brass instruments in it. We
Okay.
went
Okay.
old
Good.
school.
Was that
Yeah.
a nod to the family, or
Totally.
are they playing on those?
No,
songs?
a friend of mine was in the studio playing. So
Okay.
yeah, it was
Okay.
pretty fun.
So, Faith Child,
Mhm.
and then if that was in 2002, I know that you are good close friends with Dr. C. Baxter Kruger, and so I wanted to talk about that just for a minute. So, Restin' was your next album after Faith Child,
Yeah.
and then from Restin' you recorded
Secure.
Secure, and then For All the Times.
Yeah.
All right. So, in between which of your albums did you meet Baxter and become a little bit more familiar with the way he presents the gospel?
So when I released Faith Child, one of my friends, one good friends, Kylie, she's now Kylie Horner. She used to live in Australia. Her parents kind of lived 20 minutes from where I used to live, and she knew Baxter. So
Oh, really?
she was coming. She was actually moving over to the States that next year, and so 2003 she gave him a copy of Faith Child, and he sent me all of his books
Oh, wow.
to read. And the ongoing joke is I've not actually read his books
Because you're not a reader, right?
I'm really not a reader.
Yeah.
So I don't tend to read, but
Yep. I remember that.
I still have those books, and I bought when I moved over to the US. I bought those books with me, and so he was then coming out to Australia a couple of years later, or reasonably soon after,
Okay.
and he was doing a perichoresis conference in Australia, and I asked if they needed any music, and they said yes. So I got to go and play and meet him, and kind of been hanging out doing some of the music for perichoresis since then. Yeah.
That's great. That's
Yeah.
fantastic. So how familiar were you with I guess it goes by different names. Trinitarian theology, inclusion theology, grace theology. There's a lot of different names for it, but basically the idea that in the incarnation, the Father, Son, and Spirit, in the person of Jesus Christ, took humanity into Himself, in the person of Jesus, and so as the vicarious man, whatever we can say about Jesus, we also can say about ourselves. So that way of expressing the gospel, how would you say that's influenced your music?
I think if you take all of my CDs, right, it's kind of a journey that I've been on from really that first CD was at a point where I just thought there was absolutely nothing good about me at all. And I'm like there's even like a little blurb in the CD. It's like, thank you God, because you're literally the only good thing that there is about me. Like I didn't
Oh,
think that there
wow.
was anything else.
And so since getting to know Jesus more intimately and to find out that that's actually not true. I mean, can you talk about that journey just a little bit? I mean, some of those, I'm sure there were key moments or key revelations in your life when if it's not too intimate to talk about, where you were just like alone with God and the Father, Son, and Spirit just in whatever way, whether it was through a song or a word spoken of encouragement by someone else, how you began to see that that's not true, that you are good with the goodness of Jesus.
Right. So one of the real pivot points for me was going to a Rebecca St. James concert, right? And she was talking about how um, she was just sharing this story in the middle of her concert, and it was kind of like, oh yeah, wow, okay, that's actually how God views us, right? How the Father views us as like, even if we have been rejected by everyone and everything, like the Father is still pursuing us and loving us and going, you know what, you're mine. And I can't remember the specifics of the story that she was sharing, but it was about like this child that had really matted hair, they were really dirty, they had lice and all of this sort of stuff. And it was kind of maybe a little Uncle Pink in there, right?
Maybe.
And it was kind of like a family was coming to adopt this child, and they were like, you know what, we want you, like,
Wow.
because you're you, and like it didn't matter all the rest of the stuff that was going on, just the fact that they were wanted for who they were. And that kind of really spoke to me a lot at that point. And I think I've been really, I guess, lucky is a word that we throw around, but I'm really grateful for the people who have just come alongside of me, like in my life. You know, it's still an ongoing journey, right? We're all in this journey of really hearing what the Father, Son, and Spirit kind of say to us and about us. And
Yeah.
like I don't sit here today going, I now have shifted and I'm on this other pivot point of like,
Right.
I know who I am now, but you know, I'm grateful for the people that have come alongside and wrestled, like come alongside of me while I've been wrestling through it, to just kind of remind me of who I am in Christ. And that's been really significant for me. But also, you know, the Father, Son, and Spirit find ways to speak to us. And for me, like a few times it's been through music. It's been like a song that's been sung to me. Like one of my songs that I talk about a lot when I'm playing is a song called For All the Times, and it's a song that was really written out of a place where I was just being slammed with all of these lies of just not being good enough, beautiful enough, smart enough, not wanted, you know, all those things that, you know, we might have been told through our lives, like that
Right.
nobody cares. And the song that was being sung to me was this song of For All the Times, and it was kind of a counteract to all of those lies of, you know what, you think this, but I say that you're beautiful, I think you're beautiful.
Yeah.
You think that no one cares, but the truth is my heart is beating for you. I love you. And, you know, that heartbeat that flows through creation, that's beating for you, you know?
Yeah.
Like, and so I think there's been quite a few moments where it's been songs that have been sung to me that kind of counteract some of those other things that have kind of brought me to a place where I can almost stand and go, some days, okay, yeah, I do believe that I'm loved. I do believe that there's hope. I do believe that, you know, I'm valued and wanted and
Right.
cherished and loved by the Father, Son, and Spirit. You know, like it's an ongoing journey, but, you know, there are days where I can stand in that now.
So you have, after For All the Times, you
We're
recorded.
testing your memory now.
Yeah, yeah. So I'm going to cheat. Where the Rubber Meets the Road, is that the
yeah,
one?
yeah.
I remember the album art with the girl on the bike. And now, who did your album art for you? Do you have like a person that's like my album art go-to guru?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah. So if I can, my friend Lisa Wilson, who lives in the UK, she's an artist, and she's done
Okay.
some phenomenal kind of artwork. Lisa actually lived with us for, I think it was a few months.
Okay.
when I was growing up.
Like an exchange student kind of thing, or?
Well, her parents actually moved interstate, and so her and her sister kind of stayed behind and lived with us.
Okay.
Because I'm not sure the exact reason. It might have been to finish school or something like that. But they crashed with us and then eventually moved over to be with the family. But
Okay.
in that time, yeah, we got to know them really well. And I hadn't seen her for like 20 years maybe. And I went over to the UK and we met up, and she had literally just finished doing this painting, which was a picture of me as a young girl.
Wow.
In the middle of this like oh gosh, what's it called? When you go to a show, the fair.
Okay.
So I was like in the background's kind of this fairground, and there's a Ferris wheel and stuff like that. And like it was just amazing, and like yeah, just to be able to have her do the art, it's kind of fun.
Okay.
So she would
Good.
be my go-to. She's done From Where the Rubber Meets the Road. She's done all my art, even for the singles and everything.
Okay.
And
So does she do that for a living?
Yeah, she does.
Okay,
Yeah,
so there
yeah.
you go. If you're looking for artwork like that,
Lisa Levette.
Where the Rubber Meets the Road, that's an interesting title.
Mm-hmm.
So can you give us some insight as to why you
Picked that one?
Yeah.
Yeah. So Where the Rubber Meets the Road, it's kind of like that point of pressure, like that impact point, right? And so it's kind of like, okay, when the rubber hits the road, when things get tight, when everything goes to chaos, right? What are the things that matter, and what are the things that are important? And so I want to kind of share out of that with people. Okay, these are things to remember in those moments when, you know, things get sticky and things get tough. You know,
Okay.
one of the songs is called Included, so it's like just a reminder that, you know, we are included, and that even in those sticky moments, you know, that
Yeah.
doesn't change it. Yeah.
Yeah, even when we feel like we're so lost, you know, I don't know, a lot of people feel that way. I mean, we know we're not lost, right? I mean, because we live and move and have our being in Jesus. You can't ever really be lost because you're in Jesus, and
Right.
He's not lost.
Mm-hmm.
But it can feel that way sometimes. It can feel awfully dark, and we know as adults. I mean, it's become so academic sometimes. I mean, I could write you a 500-word treatise on how we're not alone, and that Jesus is always with us, and that you can never be lost in darkness because He's light and all. But if I'm honest, there's moments when I would say that's not true, based on how I feel right now.
Right. Yeah.
So having, I don't know, if everybody is like I am, music can do so much to me.
Right.
You know, and I've always had to be I wasn't always careful with what kind of music I listened to, but music does so much. It's so dynamic in me. So having access to songs like that, especially for all the times, for all the times, I mean, pun intended, I can't tell you how many times Davina and I have listened to that song when we really needed it.
Right.
And have shared it with people. So, yeah, where the rubber meets the road, Jesus is where the rubber meets the road.
Right.
Yeah, and what He says about us is true. Well, I'm just grateful for your honesty in how you write your music. So the next album, is it In the Midst? Oh, good, I got it right. All right, In the Midst.
Yeah.
In the Midst.
Yeah.
When you came up with that album title, is that a reference to the Holy Spirit specifically, or just our persistent presence
I think it's
with God?
Yeah, more about persistent presence. And I think in the midst is kind of like in the midst of pain, in the midst of heartache, in the midst of life, in the midst of everything that's going on. Like the Father, Son, and Spirit are with us in the midst of everything, reminding us that it's okay, and we're going to kind of get through it.
Yeah.
But it might not be okay at that moment, but they're with us.
So are you willing to assert that even when we sin, God is still with us?
Ooh, put me on the spot here, Mr. Winn. I think, we're told in Colossians 1:16 that God, Jesus is the one who holds and sustains all things, right? So if he is the one that holds and sustains everything, there's not for a moment a time when he's not sustaining things. So yes, even when we are having a bad day, even when we're in the midst of doing things that are not necessarily helpful for us or helpful for other people, God is still with us, reminding us of who we are, and kind of going, you know what, Vanessa, that's probably not the smartest thing to be doing right now, but hey, okay.
Yeah, we're going to work on it.
There's another way to do life, right? And let's try and do the other way of doing life. And well, that phrase, like the part of nothing can separate us from the love of God, and then it lists off some things, neither height nor depth, all that kind of stuff. It's like, well, you can even go like another level of like no pill addiction can separate us from the love of God.
Right.
No dependence on alcohol can separate you from the love of God. You can go through and list like a bunch of different things that so many of us struggle with, and it's like, you know what? That nothing can separate us from the love of God even goes down to those finer things that we struggle with on a day-to-day level,
Yeah, and if Colossians 1:16 is true, that Jesus does hold and sustain all things, then if we are here, it's all the evidence we need that God is with us.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, that's his name in the Gospels. He's called Emmanuel, God with us. And I suppose if God is with us, then, well, we're with him.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, it's really simple. It can be, I think we overcomplicate things sometimes. And I don't think it comes from a bad place always. I just think that we really want to feel, maybe it comes from a lack of trust, because we want so much to feel our connection with God, and when we don't, sometimes I think we just default to trying to find a mechanism to make it happen, instead of just believing that it's a truth about us that is unchanging.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's one of those things we can ask Jesus, some days, well, why did I do that all the time? Why did I default to that? Where did that come from?
Right. Yeah.
And I don't know. I suspect maybe his answer will be, "Don't worry about it. We got more fun things to do now."
Yeah. Yeah.
So I don't know. All right. Well, 6 albums, including acoustic sessions. And that one is all acoustic?
It is. So often when I go to different places to play, it's just kind of me and the piano. So I wanted to do like a bit of an acoustic album, just acoustic
kind of like an MTV Unplugged.
Yeah, kind of like that. It's a bit of fun. So some of the songs, well, all of them are acoustic on that album.
Okay. Fantastic.
Yeah, so it's kind of like that live vibe as well that people can listen to.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
So be sure to check that one out, Acoustic Sessions. And you can find all of your music everywhere, right? Apple, iTunes, Spotify.
Yeah, all the streaming platforms, all the places you can purchase online.
Is there a specific place that people could go to find your music, and maybe like a Vanessa Kersting t-shirt or something?
Yeah, so at my website has a merch store as well. So it's got the CDs, and it's got t-shirts and hats and beanies and fun stuff.
Lots
like
of
that.
fun stuff. All right, yeah. So we'll be sure to put that up so people can see, to go to vanessakersting.com. So before we wrap up, today's kind of a special day on your calendar. I mean, first of all, you sang at Grace Communion Hanover yesterday, so I mean,
how can you top that, right?
I know how you probably all year long, all you can think about is when you're going to be back with our church again. But I can tell you, our church adores you, and just so thrilled whenever you're able to put us on the list of places to stop in and visit. But what's happening today as we speak?
We're cooking dinner.
Yeah,
No.
maybe we may just go find some good Mexican chow later.
There you go.
Who knows?
But more seriously, my new CD is being mastered. So there's a few different levels that CDs go through when they're being ready for release. And this is the very final step that we've got to do today. So at any point, the songs will be back finished.
Oh, wow.
So I'm pretty excited. So hopefully by the end of the month or early next month. Ooh, end of May. Sorry,
End of May.
not April. The new CD should be out. So I'm really looking forward to sharing this album.
Right.
Yeah.
And the name of that album?
From the Bathroom Floor, which is slightly an unusual kind of one, but as
Right.
you can kind of tell from where the rubber meets the road, in the midst, that kind of thing. It's where I spent a lot of time last year. Last year was a very stretching year for me. I moved over to the US in February, and I had a lot that I needed to learn. And it was a very stretching, very intense kind of year. And sometimes I just had the wind completely knocked out of me. And so From the Bathroom Floor is kind of where I was, like,
Okay.
in those moments in life when everything kind of gets like overwhelming and crazy and you just kind of crash and
Right.
all of that sort of stuff. But these are songs that were encouraging to me in that time. So there's a lot of songs that are kind of written from the Father, Son and Spirit's perspective, speaking into my life, and just some others that I wrote as well. So I'm pretty stoked.
Good.
To get to share 'em.
Very
So,
good. Yeah. So I
yeah.
guess you could probably confirm that when you're in those moments, Jesus is perfectly happy to sit on the bathroom floor with you.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I appreciate you you coming and doing this with us, and I know people are blessed by your music. If you're hearing about Vanessa for the first time, then check out her music. Really, give it a listen. I think you'll be blessed. In fact, I know you will be. And we're just glad to have you with us, and wish you all the best. Looking forward to hearing I guess some of the songs we heard yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
So we're looking forward to being able to play those on demand,
That'll be fun.
I guess is what we're saying. So,
Yeah.
all right. Well, that'll wrap us up.
There you go.
And so I want you to know that you belong to the Father, Son, and Spirit. You always have. You always will. The Father loves you, and He likes you, and you are His beloved child.
Mm-hmm. Indeed, full stop, punctuation
stop.
mark, right?